You're watching Sports Beat, presented by Utah Disaster Cleanup.
BYU football is about more than the final score. It's about standing for something. Standing alone.
Hit from behind, gets out of it. Wow. 30 and 40, he's gonna go! Caught for a touchdown! What a score!
Standing up to your opponent.
Tony, one-handed grab, the fumble recovery, and they score! It is intercepted! Throws for the end zone, touchdown!
Standing beside your brother.
Touchdown! And that's your ball game.
This is BYU football.
BYU football with head coach Bronco Mendenhall is brought to you by Siegfried and Jensen.
Good evening and welcome to BYU football with head coach Bronco Mendenhall, brought to you by Siegfried and Jensen. Well, for a second straight week, it was late game heartbreak for Bronco and the Cougars. Thursday night, the BYU defense was dominant, but the offense was off, and Boise State did just enough to win it by a score of 7-6.
Trips left side, snap to Nelson, looks to his left, fakes, now fires, intercepted at the line of scrimmage! Going the other way, Mike Atkinson, 15-10-5, touchdown, Boise State!
It's just a fantastic college football game with both teams trying as hard as they could try. Sometimes it's 35-34 and sometimes it's 7-6. And we mounted a really nice drive at the end of the game, and I really liked the way we looked on that drive. And just not quite enough on the two-point play, but I was proud of our team and how hard they fought.
And split wide right, snap Taysom. Taysom sprints out to the right, tucks, runs. Does he get in? He does! Touchdown! Took tacklers onto the 2 and gets in for 6. And they're going for 2. Going for 2.
Had you already decided to go for 2?
I already decided when we were about the 20-yard line. I was convinced that we had the momentum. We would never have it again like we were generating on that drive. As you mentioned, a 95-yard drive. I liked the feel that I had, and I liked the look of our team. And, man, I would do it again in a second.
With Falsleb motioning out, they're running it to the right. Taysom Hill backing up. He throws. It is knocked down, incomplete.
There were players open. I was hoping Taysom would see him, and really the player he threw it to was open. I thought it was a nice play call, and I thought Taysom did his best to execute it. Unfortunately, we didn't convert.
There's no second thinking going on in your mind about the way the game ended. You had a plan, a convinced plan.
Yeah, I'd do it again every time, not sometimes. I would do it again every time. I loved the momentum. I loved the look in the players' eyes. I loved how we were moving the football, and that was the best chance, in my opinion, in gathering momentum to win the game.
It was tough that in the ensuing possession there was no ability to stop the clock for you. So once that first down was made, they did make a nice play to get 15 yards. That was kind of it.
That was it, and I knew that we couldn't give up a first down. But with 3:30 something, I wasn't ready to onside kick it yet, and I thought we wouldn't give up a first down. We might get a couple more plays, so that didn't work out.
Offset eye, stretch handoff, sprint out. They fake it. Nelson's being chased, doesn't see the man. Ball knocked loose and recovered by the Broncos. Turnover.
Let's talk a bit about Riley Nelson's night and ultimately the decision to make a switch, when and why it was made tonight, Coach.
Riley was there was an interception, I think, for a touchdown, and we were hopeful that he would rebound well, and we had talked to him about the next drive, and Riley wanted a strong chance to have one more shot at it.
Bringing 4. Nelson looking left, throws middle, deflected, intercepted. Off the hands of Falsleb, picked off for the 3rd time tonight.
Coach Doman and I agreed, and there was another interception thrown. And at that point, it just seemed like the right thing to do to try to change the flow of the game a little bit, get some momentum. Doesn't change my confidence, nor my belief, nor my respect for Riley and his toughness. Tonight just wasn't the best night, and he's still battling hard to overcome not feeling just 100%, and he gave everything he had, and it just wasn't his night, but it doesn't change my feeling about him.
Sometimes it's not always on the quarterback. In this case, a lot of it has been. You got to make the change.
Is it too soon to say what he's got going on right now or what's ahead of him?
Yeah, I think it is too soon to say. He took a hard shot in the Weber State game and battling like crazy to get as healthy as possible. And hopefully that'll happen by our next game. And if it doesn't, we saw clearer tonight maybe what Taysom is possible of doing.
4 of 9, 19 yards, 3 picks, no touchdowns, of course, and a minus 4.5 rating.
Do you think that the not feeling 100% ends up having a tactical impact in the game that has to be acknowledged?
Sure. Of course. I mean, especially at that position, but our trust in him and how tough he is so strong that you give him every benefit of the doubt because he's earned it.
Do you think is he still your starting quarterback for the next game?
He is.
Being asked to now lead the team as the guy for the remainder of this game, and your first snap is inside your own 1-yard line. Here comes the Idaho native, Taysom Hill, with his Cougars down 7-0.
Meantime, Taysom Hill comes in, and once he kind of got his feet wet, showed what kind of player he's going to be for you. And a lot of that last drive was Taysom making plays.
Option to the right side. Hill tucks, runs, first down, 30, 25-yard line.
It was with his legs, and he's had a great person to watch, and that's Riley. They have similar styles, and that's why it was a natural transition within game plan to head more with Taysom, because he's more similar in skill set to what Riley is.
Backfield with Jamal Williams, turn handoff, play action boot for Taysom. Taysom 15, 10, jukes a tackler, 5, inside the 5-3.
Yeah, I think the bottom line is that we need, and I need, to continue to ask more from our offensive coaches and players to perform in a way that I know they're capable of. And I've said for a long time, the worst mistake you can make is not asking enough. And so we'll continue to increase the demand, and I'll have Coach Doman, who I absolutely trust, work hard on that, and that's the direction we'll go.
Puts everyone at the line. Southwick sneaks, did not get in, they stop him, did not score.
I think the underlying message about our team is, again, you're going to have to play really, really hard all the way to the very end to beat us. And who knows what the score will be, nor is it really relevant, but hopefully we can get 1 or 2 more points because the guys will try hard.
The defense does it again.
All right, time now for BYU Beats, our weekly breakdown with local writers and columnists covering the Cougars. And this week, we bring in Jeff Call of the Deseret News. Jeff, thank you for coming in.
Thanks, Greg. Good to be here.
Well, Jeff, the story to come out of the game, of course, is BYU's quarterback situation. And you wrote the following in your follow-up story. Suddenly, BYU has a quarterback quandary on its hands. A year after Riley Nelson took over for ineffective starter Jake Heaps, could true freshman Taysom Hill be on the verge of replacing Nelson as the Cougars' new starter? And of course, the qualifier here is that Riley Nelson just is not right physically.
Yeah, he really doesn't look the same we saw last year, the first of the season. He's really obviously battling through some injuries and things. And I think it is a quandary for the coaching staff because they need to decide what they want to do. Taysom Hill is healthy. He's proven that he can, show what he can do. He moved the ball well against Boise State. I think that was one of the bright spots of the game for BYU was Taysom Hill's ability to move the ball that last drive. I mean, to go 95 yards for a true freshman was very impressive.
Of course, the reason that Brandon Doman kind of elevated Hill, demoted James Lark last week, was Hill's ability to run much of what Doman would consider to be the BYU playbook, as he is as mobile as Riley Nelson.
Yeah, and I think Taysom Hill is one of the fastest guys on the team. He's got 4.5 speed, and I think he showed that a little bit on Thursday. He's very athletic, and he's got a good arm, and he's got a lot to offer, and I think it's going to be fun to see him develop. And the more reps he gets in practice and in games, I think we'll see him get a lot better.
Now, you heard Bronco say, Riley's my starter. That, of course, assumes that he's able to play and play well. That's got to be the big question coming into this week.
It is. That's the big question we'll be asking Monday is how is Riley's health? Is he ready to go? Can he continue at this pace? He's taken a lot of beatings the last couple games, and his back is really hurting him.
Well, Broncos defense, meantime, is on an amazing run right now. In the Boise State game, just the latest strong showing on that side of the ball. The Broncos, Jeff, the 10th straight team to be held under 300 yards of total offense. That's amazing. It
is amazing, and almost more amazing is the fact that the last 2 games, they haven't won the game. Defense played well enough, obviously, to win. And then you look at just two plays. Isolated plays. One in the Utah game, that botched snap that went for a touchdown for Utah, and then the pick 6 against Boise State on Thursday. I mean, you take those away, and who knows, maybe BYU's 4-0. So BYU's got to be able to take care of that ball, and BYU's proven that they have a good enough defense to keep them in games.
Now, BYU is -7 in turnover margin in these last 2 games, and as well as the defense has played, Spencer Hadley telling his postgame, but we got to force turnovers. We've got to take the ball away. Now, that's the next step. Defenses are doing it against BYU. The Cougars probably have to answer suit here.
They do, and it's hard to ask even more of the defense than they're already giving because they're doing so well. But that's what it comes down to. If the offense cannot avoid giving up the ball, the defense is going to have to take it away.
Well, much of it, of course, can be attributed to Riley Nelson's struggles, but the BYU offense has taken several steps back since the season opener. And Jeff, the Boise State game was, quite frankly, one of the worst offensive outings we've seen in the Bronco era.
It is, and I think people tuning into that game on Thursday, I think everyone around the country is expecting a shootout, not a near shutout. It was very surprising to see that unfold the way it did. But yeah, the defense has been lights out. Very impressive. Boise State's defense also played very, very well. We saw both punters, Riley Stevenson and Boise State's punter, just make some incredible kicks, and that really changed the field position game. But definitely, BYU has got to figure out a way to hold on to the ball and then to rely on that defense. And we'll see if that defense can keep coming up big every week.
Yeah, we talk about the defense playing the special teams. You hint on Riley. They've been very solid, too. Really, it is the offense's job now to kind of keep pace and catch up. Hawaii might be a good team at just the right time for BYU. Jeff, thanks so much for coming in.
Yep, no problem.
Really appreciate it. All right, calling our first time out and calling for BYU Creamery's Inside Scoop Trivia, your chance to win some of the Creamery's famous ice cream, including a half gallon of the newest flavor, Bronco's Cocoa Bean. Here's last week's question, answer, and winner. Yeah, look at Austin Collie and Todd Watkins, 305 receiving yards in that 2004 loss to Boise. Clark Cannon got last week's question right with his answer. This week's question's coming up after the break. Stay with us. All right, next up for BYU, the Hawaii Warriors Friday night in Provo. Keys to the game now brought to you by Ken Garff Honda, Nissan, and Volkswagen on University Parkway. Key number one, snap decision, we'll call it. BYU has to decide what to do at starting quarterback. Will Riley Nelson be put on the bench for a while to get better? Key number two, make scoring the norm. Norm Chow's Hawaii team allowing 40 points a game through 3 games. And key number three, may the force be with you, as in forcing turnovers. BYU's defense has been great, but last forced a turnover against Weber State. Keys to the game. That'll do it for BYU football with head coach Bronco Mendenhall. Returns next Sunday night, 11:05, right here. Till then, I'm Greg Wrubell. Have a good night.